Welcome YouTubers and 4-plussers to Battle Report 16. This is the second game this week for my Dark Angels Planetary Empires Saga. Because of the tile differential, I will have 50 extra points for being one tile back from John. Earlier in the week, the Angels found their northeast territories under attack by the Tau. The Angels successfully defended and launched a special counter-assault, taking over the Tau's power station. No rest, however, as they find the tensions with the Dark Eldar on the northwestern border are especially high. The Dark Eldar believe the Angels are weak, and they strike out at the Loyalist forces. In the past, when John and I have played, if we roll Purge the Alien, it was almost an auto loss for him since he plays Dark Eldar and he has a lot of, just paper-thin vehicles. I would bring like 8 to 10 kill points and only maybe 1 or 2 would be easy to get, and, he would bring 14 or more kill points, and 6 or more of them would be like armor 10 or 11 open top vehicles. I don't know why, but I just had this feeling in my bones that we were going to roll Purge the Alien today. So to try and make a more balanced game of it, I bought transports. I bought Razorbacks for everybody that could buy one. Plus, it let me use my resin kits from Poland, which are really cool. I'll have a picture of them and a link at the end of the video. Sure enough, we rolled Purge the Alien and Vanguard Strike Deployment. John had +1 for his pregame rolls because of the power station differential, but I managed to win the go first, deploy first roll. I chose to have him deploy first, even in a kill point game where Alpha Strike is nice because, it almost guarantees first blood. You can't underestimate the value of seeing your opponent's deployment, nor the danger of having him have a +1 to steal initiative because he's got a 5+ to steal because of that power station bonus. It's going to be night first turn, which is a boon for Dark Eldar, but I came prepared with my improvisers on my librarians. The Dark Eldar are a very mobile force. They've got 2 10-man warrior squads and raiders with splinter racks and night shields, 2 ravagers with night shields, a squad of reavers with 3 heat lances, and 2 venoms with night shields and I think flicker fields. One of the witches, or one of the venoms is witches, got witches in it, and one of the venoms is actually the Archons and the Incubi's personal transport. They're lined up behind an Aegis defense line with an Icarus las cannon. The Dark Angels came with 3 full tack squads with missile launcher and flamers, just like right out of the box. That's the way they should be. Full Devastator squad with 4 las cannons. Each of them brought a Razorback with las cannon and twin link plasma guns. I figured this was an equitable comparison to his raiders points wise, and they're about the same in terms of survivability. He has jinx saves, I have 1 higher armor, so I think in the end it's a wash. So this is actually bumping my kill points up into about the same range as his, so should be a good game. I have 2 librarians leading the Dark Angels today. The Warlord has prescience and perfect timing. Ignore cover is very nice against Dark Eldar. And his right-hand man has prescience and misfortune. Really good psychic abilities on both of them this game. In reserve is a squad of Deathwing Knights. If my Devastators look a little strange, like they have 6 DA vets up front, that's because they do. I have 34 Marines on my paint table right now, and 10 of them are my Devastator squads, so I'm pulling heavies and spare Marines together to field my Devastator squad. Before turn 1, John uses his Warlord trait to shuffle his Witch's Viper forward a bit. The Dark Eldar advance, and quickly at that. Everything lines up for shots on the Razorbacks or the quad gun and the Aegis. The Talos advances. I think I forgot to mention him in the setup. He very much blends in with the table. I circled him in yellow so you can see him. It's actually just an old SM Dread that we're proxying in. John's got his real Talos in the mail right now. In the shooting phase, the Reavers blow up the lead Razorback. The 2 Ravagers have some rough dice and only manage a glance on the next closest Razorback. The Venoms combine forces to kill the quad gun. The Icarus las cannon hits, but fails to glance the furthest Razorback. Quick jet bike move in the assault phase to pull him out of 24-inch range for my bolters, and turn 1 is finished. Not a bad start. Scores 2-0 Dark Eldar. He killed a Razorback and got first blood. The Dark Angels turn 1, both librarians cast prescience on their own squads, and the Warlord casts perfect timing on his Devastators, so they'll be, well, on himself, which will include his Devastators, and it means they'll be ignoring cover. And since he's got an improviser, they can shoot a full 48. being no stranger to Dark Eldar, I've tangled with them many times. I take my Devastators and move them to bubble wrap the las cannons, because those Reaver jet bikes can actually do a blade vein attack, and then you take casualties from where they land, not where they started. So a lot of times it's a good way to snipe stuff in the back. The Deathwing Knights arrive on time and on point. My plan is to survive a round to double Raider splinter shots and then charge a Ravager or a single Raider. Did the quick math in my head, and I figure that if a Ravager doesn't shoot at us, we should have 2 to 3 survive. If both Ravagers shoot at us, I might have 1 survive. But really, I only need 1 to survive. All I got to do is get into combat, kill a Raider or a Ravager, and it's a 1-for-1 trade because this is a kill point game. In the shooting phase, I take some shots from all over, but with night fight and ample cover, the Devastators with ignore cover do manage to take down the Talos, and 1 bike is killed with some missile launcher fire. But other than that, really an uneventful turn 1. 2-1, Dark Eldar are still winning. Dark Eldar turn 2, the Raiders line up for shots on the Knights. The Ravagers split up, the Venoms advance, the Reavers pull up for some lance and splinter fire at the Marines standing manning the Aegis. Pew pew pew. That's pretty much all they heard. Both Raiders had missed their Dark Lance shots, so I really thought, hell yeah, I'm gonna have like 3 to 5 left. This is gonna be great. The splinter fire comes in between both of them, and they did shoot separately, but I just totaled it all up. And it ended up being 19 wounds from both Raiders worth of splinter fire. Statistically, I should probably have 1 to 2 left, but I ended up rolling 5 1s, and that's pretty much all she wrote for the Knights. Now, mathematically, 5 1s and 19 die is actually not that far from, the center of the curve when you think about it, because it's very easy to get 4 1s and 19 dice. Anyhow, it happens. They didn't live. I just got to make it up somewhere else. The Ravager blasts away, and the lead Razorback and manages to destroy it. The Venoms once again combine forces, and they kill 5 Marines. Double splitter cannon Venoms are actually quite impressive when it comes to mobility and anti-infantry firepower. The Dark Eldar are in the lead now, 4-1. As I start my turn 2, there's just a little bit of shuffling of Marines, but not much. Since there's no major movement, we're just going to get right to shooting. Of course, all the psychic powers go off again, prescience and ignore cover. In the shooting phase, the 2 live Razorbacks and the missile launcher, they all kind of combine shots, and we do manage to leak 2 wounds through on the Venom and wreck it, and the Witches pile out. The ignore cover Devastators blow away a Ravager. So when it's all said and done, it's 4-3, still in favor of the Dark Eldar, but it's a close game. Turn 3, Dark Eldar, lots of movement. The Raiders move up to join the game. The live Venom comes back to pick up the Archon and his Incubi. The Reavers move to get some shooting in on the front tactical squad, and then later on they'll jump back since they get to move in the assault phase. The Ravager pulls into position to harass the remaining 2 Razorbacks, and the Witches advance while staying in cover. They're kind of hard to see, right over at the very right side of the frame. The Reavers have a tough time shooting, but they do manage to kill 2 Marines. The Ravager gets a glance and a pen. He manages to knock off the twin-linked plasma gun. This did raise a question as to whether both weapons were destroyed or only one. You buy them as a single option, but you fire both of them at the same time. It's not like a combi weapon where it's one or the other. So if anybody has an answer or can direct us to an FAQ, please post. The Raiders both move flat out. You don't get to see it, but they're going to have much better position in the next movement phase for the Dark Eldar. Still 4-3 in favor of the Dark Eldar. Dark Angels turn 3. We cast Prescience and Perfect Timing on the Devastators. Prescience on the Lone Marine Conga line there that you see. They moved up but left the missile launcher stationary to get some bolt guns on the Reaver jet bikes. The Razorbacks both shuffle left in an attempt to get good line of sight on the Ravager. In the shooting phase, we do manage to kill 2 more jet bikes, but they stand fast. The 5-man Marine squad that's left over shoots and manages to kill 1 Witch, And then the perfect timing Devastators succeed where the Razorbacks failed and manage to blow up the Razorback or the Ravager. It's all tied up now at 4-4. Dark Eldar turn 4. The Reaver Jetbikes at the top move forward to tee up a Blade Vein run at the Devastators. The Archon hops into his Venom with his Incubi, and they move 12 inches up to join the battle, and they will go flat out during the shooting phase. The Warriors get out of their Raider to man the Icarus Las cannon that was left vacant by the Archon. The other Raider with Warriors is going to move up and get some splinter fire on the Marines. Turbo boost in the shooting phase. It's a Blade Vein attack. The Librarian has to make a couple lookout sirs because of the way Blade Vein works. 2 Devastators end up dying. Out of frame, the wounded Razorback is finished off by the Icarus Las cannon, but the splinter fire from the Raider doesn't have any effect on the Marines. It is now 5-4. Dark Eldar are back in the lead. Dark Angels turn 4. It may look like the game's jumped a bit, but in reality not much has happened. My Dark Angels conga line moved to get into charge range of the Reaver jet bikes, and my Devastators just kind of shuffled out of their way. During the I did manage to cast Ignore Cover and Prescience on everybody, but during the shooting phase, the Ignore Cover Devastators, even with Prescience, only got 1 hit, and it was an immobilized result on the closest Raider. I tried to cast Misfortune on the Reaver jet bikes during my movement phase, and they managed to deny the Witch. So when I charge into close combat with them, what ends up happening is the Power Axe on the Librarian, he wounds the Arena Champ in a challenge 3 times, but the Arena Champ makes all 3 feel no pain saves. The end result of the combat was a draw, 1 dead Marine, 1 dead bike. I guess a little more happened than I mentioned. The 5-man Marine squad that was near the last surviving Razorback actually got in it. The idea being that if it survives, the witches that are closing in will have to charge the Razorback rather than the Marines. And the witches will probably kill the Razorback, and when they do, the Marines will pile out and hopefully get a nice good flamer shot on them next turn. It's still 5-4, Dark Eldar. Moving into turn 5. Turn 5, Dark Eldar. Warriors that were in the immobile Raider get out. It's essentially a ticking time bomb just waiting to be shot at by the Devastators. The Witches and Archon move up into an easy charge range. The mobile Raider moves up 12 to get into Dark Lance range. In the shooting phase, the Venom takes some shots at the Devastators and kills one of them. The Raiders and the Icarus fail to kill the last surviving Razorbacks, so it's going to be up to the Witches. In close combat, the Witches get it done. They come in with 4 Haywire grenades and manage to get 3 whacks at it and destroy it. The Incubi and the Archon get an easy charge, and the Archon dispatches Sarge in a challenge, and the Incubi kills 2 more Marines. The Dark Angels are all stubbornly faithful, and they stick around to continue the fight next round. As luck would have it, the Arena Champ manages to put a wound on the Librarian before dying, and the Marines kill another bike. The remaining bikes end up fleeing since the Arena Champ's not there to have their leadership a little higher, and they are run down. The Librarian leads his squad towards the Archon and the Incubi. The enemy must be purged from our back lines. The score is now 7-5, with the Dark Eldar picking up Linebreaker and a point for the Razorback, and the Dark Angels picked up the Reaver Bike's kill. Dark Angels turn 5, the Fearless Librarian casts Prescience on himself and Misfortune on the Incubi. Both go without a hitch. The Warlord once again grants Prescience and perfect timing to the Devastators. The 5-man tactical squad advances to get a nice flamer shot on the Witches. The Librarian and his tactical squad set off to rid the back lines of the Archon unit and his Incubi. In the shooting phase, the Flamer and the Bolt Pistol kill 3 Witches, and they break and run. The no cover save Devastators wreck the last Venom. Charge! The Librarian and his tactical squad roll an impressive 12-inch charge. They really want to get in there. Librarian's no fool. He refuses the Archon's challenge, leads from the back. The Incubi and the Huskblade manage to kill 3 more Marines, but Misfortune and Prescience take their toll and kill 3 Incubi as well. So the combat's a draw. We roll for end of game, and it ends. The final tally is a Dark Angels victory, but just barely, 7-8. The Dark Angels picked up 3 victory points on their last turn. The Broken Witches count. We had to double check that in the rules. The Incubi Squad and the Dead Venom. I had to look it up to be sure, but yeah, in Purge the Alien, the way it works is anything fleeing or even in continuing reserve. So if you have a flyer that's not dead but it flies off the board and the game ends, that counts as a victory point for your opponent. The Dark Angels pressed their advantage after the slim victory over the Dark Eldar, and they ran to the command center and took it over. This has been a fruitful week for the Dark Angels. Picked up 2 territories. We've been on the defensive all week, but we stood strong, and we fought back. As promised, close-up pictures of those Las turrets that I got from Poland. I'll post a link, and just so you guys know, I've ordered from them a couple times. Never had a problem with the credit card. Actually, I think I use PayPal, but I've never had a problem with it. And the stuff has always come, and it's actually pretty high-quality stuff. I haven't had any issues with it. Thanks, John, for an amazingly close game. Fun as always. I know that the ignore cover psychic power is brutal for Dark Eldar. They pretty much depend on cover to keep their vehicles alive. And it's definitely the champ of this game. My Devastators got 4 of my 8 victory points, and in all honesty, it was really a fluke that they didn't have a 5th. You know, I mean, usually they're good for 1 victory point a turn with that power. Anyhow, thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll be making some more videos next week.